If sciatica and back pain through the day wasn't bad enough, how much worse is it when you can't sleep or get comfortable when you're going to sleep because of that pain? People tell me, I can handle it during the day, I can put up with that pain, but at night, it's just enough, it breaks me. So during the day, you're busy, you're working, you're moving around, you're talking to people, you're focusing on everything else that life throws at you. Then you get to the end of the day and bedtime arrives and you finally get that chance to rest, and then suddenly the symptoms feel louder than they did all day. Just imagine this, you're lying down. There's no position that seems to work. You try sleeping on your side, you move to your back, you put a pillow between your knees, you roll over and it wakes you up. That pain starts aching in the glute, the leg starts throbbing, the calf burns and the foot tingles, and before you know it, you're staring at the ceiling wondering, how am I supposed to go through another night? I've even had patients tell me that they end up getting out of bed altogether, walking around the house, and then falling asleep on a recliner in the lounge room because it's the only place they can get some relief. One of the comments I hear most often though is, I actually dread going to bed because I know this pain is going to start. Isn't that horrible? I hope you're not in that same situation, but if you've ever felt that way, what you're experiencing isn't random. It's actually a pattern we see commonly, and it's common with sciatica. One of the reasons nighttime symptoms feel so much worse is because night pain is quite different. At night, everything becomes quiet. And when everything's quiet, that nerve pain becomes much louder. The symptoms that you could partly ignore during the day, they suddenly become the only thing that you're aware of. Every ache, every burn, every tingle, every throb, it just seems amplified. Now that's why many people, they feel like their sciatica suddenly gets worse at night, even though that nerve irritation may have been building throughout the entire day. What we're often seeing is what I call a nighttime sciatica pattern. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's one single cause for this, because night symptoms can be influenced by a whole range of factors, including positioning in bed, how the hips are loaded when you're sleeping, how sensitive that nerves become because of the day you've had, exactly what's happened to build that up. And then of course, how your body responds lying still for long periods. And for some, it's that laying flat that aggravates things. For others, they actually get more aggravation if they're laying on the side. For others, it's when they're changing position, they're going from a rolling position. But I want you to understand, let someone know about this, because those are very specific clues to help us understand what that pattern's all about. So for instance, if the leg throbs when you're lying still, your body's telling us that position is important. But if you're rolling and that wakes you up every night, well, that's also a completely different situation that we need to look at. If one side feels significantly worse than the other, that tells us something different again. And the symptoms tell us where it goes, which is really helpful, but this behavior of those symptoms that tells us what sets it off. So let's talk about why lying down can sometimes aggravate sciatica. If the sciatic nerve is already irritated, certain sleeping positions can continue placing pressure, tension, or load on that entire nerve pathway. Now, during the day, you're constantly adjusting and changing positions without even realizing it, but at night, you may spend much longer in the exact same position. So for some people, that prolonged stiffness allows those symptoms to just gradually build and build and build. Now, it's not that sleeping itself is causing damage. The problem is that that nerve has already been sensitized, it's already sensitive, and then these certain positions that you get into with sleep will continue to aggravate it. So another thing that we often see is this vicious cycle that develops. The nerve irritation disrupts sleep. Poor sleep reduces your resilience to the next day. You become more tired, you become more irritable, there's more sensitivity and discomfort, and you're less able to tolerate these symptoms. That really plays on the nervous system in terms of pain. Then the following night is even harder again. So you can see this cycle building, and before long, this sleep disruption becomes almost as frustrating as the sciatica itself. So what are a few practical things that you can do to help during a flare-up? So if you're a side sleeper, one of the most simple strategies, you may have heard this already, but it's placing a pillow between your knees. So your knees come up, pillow between, and for some people that really helps reduce the strain on the low back, takes tension off the nerve, takes pressure off the hips, and it's a much more comfortable position. If you're more tending to be on your back, and placing a pillow underneath your knees so you've got a bit of a like a flex in your knees and hips can take pressure off the low back as well as the nerve. Some people also find that slightly bending at the hips and the knees is more comfortable than just laying flat. So you can really lift them up if you want with a couple of pillows to build that up. On the other hand, if stomach sleeping constantly aggravates your symptoms, this is one of my big no-nos, just generally, just avoid it. Do something different. Put some pillows around so you don't end up on your tummy. Now, a big one for people is that movement when they're rolling in bed. It is a tricky one, but if you can try and keep everything in the one spot and almost roll over like a log, rather than sort of twisting the whole body and the trunk separately, it might be something worth trying. And the same thing really applies for when you get up out of bed in the morning. And if you've got a lot of pain, you're probably already doing this, but rather than just doing like a straight sit up or jumping out, roll onto your side first, let your legs drop off the side of the bed, and then slowly come up on the side, pushing up with your arms. One thing that I generally recommend avoiding during an acute flare-up is any sort of aggressive type of stretching, particularly in bed, particularly first thing in the morning. Many people immediately start, pulling on their hamstrings or their glutes because that's where they feel the pain. This can unfortunately aggravate things and sometimes will even increase that burning or tingling. So please keep wary of that and seek some help if you need. Now, remember the goal at night is not perfect posture. The goal is to find a position that reduces pressure, allows that nerve to calm down enough for you to get some sleep. For some people, it's a short, gentle walk before bed. After waking up in the morning, that can get them going. It really helps reduce symptoms. Again, it's not because it's fixing the underlying issue, but because movement sometimes helps reduce the sensitivity that builds up during those prolonged static positions. Now, it's important to understand what night pain does not automatically mean. It does not automatically mean permanent nerve damage, and it does not automatically mean that you're up for surgery. And it certainly doesn't mean that you're automatically busted out with a ruined spine. It just doesn't mean that. However, if that night pain's constantly waking you, the symptoms are spreading, there's numbness increasing, or the weakness is developing, you need to get this assessed properly. Now, as a brief safety note, if you've ever experienced severe or worsening weakness, loss of bowel or bladder control, numbness in the saddle area, or a significant nerve change, you need to seek urgent medical attention. For everyone else, the important thing to understand is that sleeping positions can actually tell us a lot. It shows us how the nerves behave when the body's still and loaded differently than it is during the day. Now, hopefully a few of these sleeping positions can help you survive the night. Hopefully it's going to help you reduce some of that irritation, improve the comfort to help you get some much needed rest. But if sciatica keeps stealing your sleep week after week, the bigger question becomes this. What's going on? Why is that nerve so irritated that lying down sets it off in the first place? That's exactly what a sciatica assessment is designed to answer. At Aligned Chiro, we assess factors such as posture, such as nerve function, such as spinal movement, and symptom behavior. We want to understand not only where you're feeling the symptoms, but why they're happening. Where clinically indicated, if we need to know more, we'll also get some x-rays, we might get some MRIs. This will help us build a clearer picture. Now, the goal isn't simply to help you sleep in a different position. The goal is to understand what's irritating that nerve and determine the most appropriate next step. So, if sciatica is waking you up at night, if it's making it difficult to get comfortable, or it's leaving you exhausted the next day because you didn't sleep well at night, don't keep guessing. If you'd like to learn more, keep an eye out for the webinar that I'll be running, where we're going to do a really deep dive. We're going to really look into the cause of sciatica, why these symptoms start, why they're often worse at night, and look at the different approaches you can use to help yourself recover. And if you really want answers sooner, you don't want to wait for that, you just want to get into it, feel free, book a sciatica assessment at Aligned Chiro. We'll assess your posture, your spine movement, your nerve function and symptom behavior so you can better understand what is irritating that nerve and what the next step should be. You don't have to keep dreading bedtime. Let's find some answers.